Hey cats, what's happening? You know, I just hate to waste things in my garden. I've got so many tomatoes growing here and I have given them away. I've eaten them every night for dinner. I've sliced them, I put them on, you know, tacos and everything I can think of. I mean, it's tomatoes every night. I've made tomatoes salsa. I've made V8 juice. I've canned it in the basement with and canned tomatoes too, and I still have more than I can do. And I hate to waste them, but I just can't. There's nothing I can do. There's hundreds of tomatoes out here. I've got peppers too. Look at the size of these pepper plants, and I've got jalapenos. The jalapenos. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I mean, look at them all. Look at them all. Well, I picked one of these red ones. Down here in the bottom, they've turned red. So, and you know, I thought that was interesting. I picked a really nice red one, and I took it in the house, and I sliced it up. I thought, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do with all these jalapenos, but at least I'm going to eat one of them because I like jalapenos. I mean, jalapenos basically are the lesser of the hot peppers, right? You got the, you know, the ghost chili peppers and the habaneros and all those oddball peppers that are so scalding hot. But jalapenos are at the bottom of the Scoville list. So I sliced some pretty thin slices there, and I took one of the slices, popped it in my mouth, started chewing it, and almost immediately my whole mouth and throat exploded in painful heat. I've never eaten a hot pepper so hot as those jalapenos out of my garden, the red ones. Now, as I'm reading, you know, when they turn red, they mature, and as they mature, they get riper. They get more of the capsaicin in them than a green jalapeno, and the smaller, younger one is less hot. It was the hottest thing I have ever eaten in my life. That thing, right away, I knew something wasn't right. My nose started running, my sinuses like swelled up, my eyes started watering, I was coughing, my heart started palpitating, and then right away my body wanted to reject it. I ran out to the front porch and I just started dry heaving. I didn't have anything in my stomach. I finally threw some of it up with some coffee that I had, and yeah, it was the worst experience ever. I've never ever had it, and I like hot stuff. I like hot sauce on my food. I love Mexican. I dump the hot sauce on there. This was the hottest thing I've ever had in my life. About blew my head off, and I'll tell you what, it took me about 20 minutes to recover from eating that thing. We're coming on towards the end of August now. You know, my black-eyed Susans have kind of seen their better day. This is something that I thought was pretty cool in my garden, though. The garden spider. The black and yellow argiope is what it's called. It makes the zigzag down the middle of the web. And you can't see the web, but it's a big orb web. And you'll see he caught a little bug up there that he wrapped up, and he's got another one over there that he wrapped up. I love the garden spiders, and I like to see them in my garden. This has been a rough week. This past week, I've had a lot of things happen. And you know what they say, when it rains, it pours? Well, it really poured this week. First thing, on my truck, on the dash, it always tells me when there's an oil change due. So that popped up. But the other thing that happened was that this door strap here, it keeps the door from opening too far. It broke inside the door. So that happened. So I have to be careful about opening my door, because you can open the door too far, you know, where it'll pinch here and damage the body. So I got to get that fixed. My garden tractor, I just bought a new battery for it, and I went to use the tractor the other day and the battery was dead. Well, the voltage regulator went out on the tractor. So now I got to get a voltage regulator, get the tractor, you know, do that repair. That wasn't it though. Back in February, a tree fell on my communication line, my phone line. It was overhead through the woods back here behind the garage to the house. And that was my internet service, which was horrible. It would take me 8 to 12 hours to upload a 10-minute video for you guys. I'd have to make sure I did it way ahead of time so that I'd have plenty of time to make sure it was uploaded. The tree fell on the cable and busted it down, so I called the provider, and they came out, and it was in the winter, there was snow on the ground, and the contractor that plowed the underground cable in did a terrible, terrible job. It was half in the ground, half out of the ground. In fact, there's a spot back here where I actually hit the cable with the mower and cut it in half. That's how far out of the ground it was. So back in February, early March I believe it was, I called the provider and I said, look, I'm done with your services. You know, I can't take it anymore. Your service is terrible, but worse yet, your contractor did such a crappy job at installing the underground cable. I got to find another option. I'm canceling my service with you. And I had found a local service here that had fiber optic cable that came out the next day and plowed in a cable all the way up to the house, underground, the whole way. Didn't have any problems. And my internet is like lightning fast now. I can upload this video in probably 1 minute compared to 12 hours in the past, or sometimes more. So that was done. And then this week, I got a billing statement from my old provider saying that I owed them $330 some. I canceled my service back in March. So I called them up, and it was one of those things, on the phone for an hour and a half talking to 4 different East Indian dialect women that just kept pushing me up the ladder. You're going to have to talk to my manager. You're going to have to talk to my supervisor. You're going to have to, you know, until I got to the last lady there. And they kept saying, we have no record of you canceling your service, so you've been being billed all this time. I said, well, how come I haven't received a bill? Since I canceled my service, I never received one billing statement. So how could this be? And I said, not to mention, my underground cable is severed, so I'm not getting any service either. They said, we have no record of us replacing your underground service. I said, you got to be kidding me. And we went around and around, and so then I told them, I said, well, I'm not paying you a nickel. And then they threatened me. They said, well, here's the thing. If you don't pay us, we're going to put it against your credit account. You're going to have terrible credit, and we will take action. And I said, well, I'm filing a dispute with you guys, because I said, this is ridiculous. I said, I had canceled my service. And I said, you've got to have some record that I haven't used your service since March. Well, they kept saying, we have no record. We have no record. We're looking back at the records, and we have no records. The last record we have of you is 2023. Well, I was livid. I tried to maintain my temper the best I could with these ladies, because I understand they're just employees. They're just doing their job. But what a crock, What a crock. Then they tell me, oh, and one more thing, you have to return your old router and the plug cable that goes with it, or we're going to charge you an extra $150 for that equipment. I said, wait a minute, that equipment's like 10 years old, if not more. I said, you can't possibly have any value in that. Oh yeah, she said, we repurpose them and give them to people that aren't so fortunate. So they sent me a package, and I put I found the old router jammed in a drawer. Thank goodness I didn't throw it away. They sent me an empty package. I put it in the package. I took it to the UPS store and put that in the mail. Now what's going to happen with the $330, I don't know. It's still in dispute, and I actually contacted the Better Business Bureau on them too, because I just thought this is robbery. It's just robbery. So I had that going on. That wasn't everything. The temperatures have been like in the 90s, and my central air went off in the house. So it was like 90 degrees in the house. And thankfully I have a window air conditioner in my bedroom, because that was my saving grace. I was able to stay cool at night when I was sleeping. And then during the day I just found something to do, and I could, take my truck into town or whatever, because being in there, it was like sitting in an oven. The repairman came out. It was a simple repair. There's a little fuse, like the kind of plug-in plastic fuse things, a little yellow, red, blue. He pulled it out and wiggled it a little, put it back in, wiggled a little bit, and the thing came on. So it wasn't the fuse that was bad, but it was the receptacle. The receiver was loose, and he had to take a tool in there and crimp that a little bit to where the fuse fits snugly. And then my air conditioner started working again. And that cost me. I mean, it kind of gets you right here when you think, boy, such a simple fix that I could have done, but I really can't, because I'm not knowledgeable about air conditioning heating units. And he had the testing equipment, so he knew right where to look. I wouldn't have had a clue. So sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and do that. So yeah, all of that coming down in 1 week. And it's just been burdensome. I mean, I've had money going through my fingers like butter. And it's cutting my budget real tight, man, real tight. So, no going out to dinner and treating myself. I just been trying to find things to eat here at home. I just noticed here this past week I got some real bad scratches on the top of my gas tank, and I have no idea how that happened. I couldn't even begin to guess how that happened. It almost looks like something was on there rattling around while it was driving, and then there's like scratches here, like somebody scuffed something down over that. And my bike hasn't been dirty. It hasn't been in the dirt or the dust. I don't know what happened there. Unless it's one of those things where you park it somewhere and like I did go to the county fair and I had it parked in the parking lot there. Did somebody try to climb on it or something and their foot hit the gas tank and scratched it? How do things like that happen? I really don't think that scratch came from me, because I'm not that careless with my paint job. I was pondering the other day, because that's kind of what I do. We all have our thoughts on different topics. We all have our beliefs, whether it be politics, the right or the left. We take sides and we believe in what we think is right. Religion, we have our ideals, our morals, the things that we think are right. Some of us don't care about religion. Moral issues, everybody has their own understanding of how things work. The interesting thing, though, is when we talk to somebody that thinks differently from us, how do we deal with that? I mean, I've got 4 brothers, and they all have a different way of thinking about things. Some of them have some different ideas on religion. Some have different ideas on politics, just to name the big ones. But I still love them as my brothers. And I guess best case scenario, I try to avoid those subjects because I just don't want to get in an argument. But here's the thing I was thinking, why is it so hard to convince somebody of your understanding of how something is? And why do I think that I have to try to convince them? Like, in my mind, I think I'm right, I have my political ideas, I have my religious background, and I believe in my heart that those are the right things to do, those are the right ways to live, and the right code to live by. But when I try to convince somebody else, they don't want to hear it. It just ends up in an argument. And then I think about, okay, well, what if they're right though, and they're trying to convince me of their ideals? I'm very stubborn. I'm not going to budge off of my way of thinking because that's the way they think. And I don't know, this is just something in my mind that I'm thinking. I'm like, who's right and who's wrong? And do I pursue trying to convince people that my way of thinking is right? I think the best thing to do is listen, just to listen to people, hear what they have to say, and then add your 2 cents worth in. If it's got any value or credit, I think they're going to listen, and you're not going to change their mind like right now, but maybe down the road they're going to remember those words that you said, and they may think about that for a while, and they may think, oh, Avery, he might have been right, oh, Itchy, he had some good points there. I never thought of it that way before. And as I listen to other people too, I tend to think the same thing, like, maybe they were right about that issue, because I never thought of it that way before. And it may or may not have some bearing on the way that I think about things. I have very strong, I don't call it religion. I call it a spiritual thing. It's my relationship with Jesus Christ. And I believe Jesus to be a real friend of mine. It's not just like something that I try to believe, it's something that I find to be a reality in my life because it's proven that it works for me. I pray as I'm supposed to, and I'm blessed through that. And to me, I wish that I could convince everybody of the joy and how well a relationship with God actually works. But it's almost impossible to try to twist somebody's arm into thinking your way. The best thing I can do is just be an example. I try to love everybody. I try to show friendship to everybody, to lend a hand whenever I'm needed, and not to think selfishly, but to have a giving heart, And that's kind of how I'm trying to live my life. Now, I'm not perfect by any means, and I don't think I ever will be. I still have my faults. When I get in on the bike or in my truck and I'm going into town, almost every day somebody irks me to the point where I'm spouting off, I just get that burst of like road rage. And I pulled out of here this morning. I had to run into town to deliver a package, and I got out on the main road and I started going. I was going the speed limit, and some guy came up on my rear end. I mean, he was right on my bumper, and then he passed me in a no passing area. And to me, he was putting his life and my life on the line, because if a car would have come over the hill the other way, it could have ended very poorly for both of us. So of course that enraged me, and I wanted to tailgate him and ram into his back, but no, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I fall short, of trying to be a wonderful, understanding, loving person when people do stuff like that. I have my failures. I try my best, though. It's not easy. And then with all this stuff that comes down this week, like I said, when it rains it pours, and it poured this week too, so all heck was breaking loose on me. And I just had to keep my chin up and say, this soon will pass. I'll get through this. It's not going to kill me. I can work it out. I'll get my truck door fixed. I'll get the tractor fixed. I'll get this deal straightened out with the internet company. Whether I have to pay them to get them off my back or whether we'll settle somehow, I don't know. And then my air conditioner is already fixed, but that was money out the window. Money that I don't really have, but I think we all have been through these kind of things more than once, and you just can't let it get you down. People have asked how I'm doing. I'm doing great. I'm a widower now. I'm a single man. I'm on this property here all by myself, and I love it here. I have no thoughts of ever leaving or selling the place. I'm comfortable here. I'm getting used to being alone. For a while there, I felt like maybe I was insecure without a partner. But now I'm getting quite used to being a single man, and I'm enjoying my freedom. Come and go as I please. I've been getting a lot of bike riding in, a lot of it, and I love that. So, yeah, things are good for me. I got some great neighbors. I got some really good friends, some good comrades who like to ride. This morning I went on a hike with my friend Buzz, and that was good. Buzz is taking off here next week and going down to the Philippines for a month. So he's got that vacation all planned, and he keeps begging me to go down there with him. I don't know if I'm up to that or not. That's a big commitment for me. I haven't even been able to plan, a big vacation somewhere. So, other than just taking these little camping trips and stuff, that's about the best I can do for now. Well, my friends, I think this day's about ready to wrap up. I'm going to stay out of the jalapeno patch, because boy, that was quite the unpleasant experience, let me tell you. I don't want to ever do that again. You know what, I've taken those jalapenos and pickled them, and they're delicious. And I've made the jalapeno poppers, where you stuff them with cheese, and those are great. And they're warm. I mean, they're spicy hot, but I can tolerate them. And I never thought that one of those red jalapenos was going to be like a, 10,000 on the Scoville level. Blow my head off, top of my head off. Whew. Well, cats, thanks for joining me this evening and hanging out with me. Thanks for your comments. Love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching. Hit me with that thumbs up, and thanks for subscribing. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost a thing, and that way you'll be in touch with my videos as they come up. 2 videos a week, Lord willing. Till next time, cats, I will catch all of you later.